Good evening and welcome to the premiere episode of Youth on the Move podcast, where we discuss what's happening in our world today and bringing the truth to today's youth. I am your host, Jayla O, and I am a senior mass media art student at the illustrious Clark Atlanta University. And as you guys know, I will be the new hostess for Youth on the Move. Today, for our first episode, we will be discussing the coronavirus pandemic and its effect on our youth's mental health. Joining us today, we'll have a mental health expert who is here to answer your questions as well as ours. Here is Kirsten Spreewell, aka Spree, your resident therapist, co-founder of Spreeisms, a brand that seeks to increase awareness about mental health and provide education in ways to protect your peace. She is a mental health therapist, a Black girl in her 20s, and living authentically. She has hosted 3 workshops on self-care for working women and over 10 trainings on social and emotional wellness for Black youth within the last 2 years. As an undergraduate at Tuskegee University, the seed of activism for Black wellness was planted, and while still in her master's program at Clark Atlanta University, Kirsten started Spreeisms. She wanted to share everything she was learning with other African Americans who were not as knowledgeable about mental wellness due to a lack of access and cultural barriers. Currently, self-care, mental health, and going to therapy are hot topics to discuss, but Kirsten is in the trenches daily. She's earned her master's in social work with an emphasis in mental health in 2016, and has supported youth and adults with trauma, anxiety, and depression, among other mental illnesses ever since. You can follow Spree on Instagram at Spreeisms, Spreeisms. Hello, Miss Kirsten. How are you?
Hey, I'm well. How you doing, Jayla?
I'm doing good. Are you holding up okay?
Yes, I am. Actually, today has been a little bit of a crazy day, but outside of that, I've just been, trying to stay grounded and make sure that I'm able to provide the best support for my clients and the people around me, and also support for myself. So I've been doing things like gardening and researching and reading and all of these things. So I've been able to maintain.
Okay, right. So, in general, why is mental health so critical during these hard times?
Well, because really we have been seeing a big influx of people who are experiencing mental illness for the first time ever. I've even gotten a few new clients during this time. And also the agency I work for, we've been getting a whole lot of new clients for this time, and we were prepared for things to completely shut down and for us to kind of, be moving a little slower, but things have been consistent, things are still moving. And so that's telling me that people are experiencing symptoms that are maladaptive to be able, or really just negative symptoms, right? Adverse symptoms that people are experiencing. And this sometimes is the first time, or this is a new episode, something that maybe they had a handle on previously, and now COVID has created this new anxiety, new sadness, sometimes feeling neglected by people. And I'm seeing a lot of kids sleeping a lot, and we know that's a symptom of depression. But what we don't know a lot of the times is that it can work the other way, right? Just by being dormant, it can create other symptoms of depression. It can create feelings of depression, pressure, and really just feeling alone.
So, from what you've been seeing, what groups do you think are being mentally affected the most during this time?
So it's a little bit, I feel like it's everybody, right? We're all in this boat together, because I've seen young kids, the kids that don't understand what's going on. And so all they know is that they can't see their friends. Life is different, right? And it's drastic. And that's during a developmental stage of their life. So that type of shift, that type of change, can bring about a form of trauma. And so, especially for those developmental kids, that's their battle, right? And then you have the young people in their, 18, 19, 20s. These are people who are kind of discovering themselves. These are people who either just graduated high school and maybe didn't have a graduation due to COVID, maybe didn't have a prom due to COVID. So they're, and that's a big part of being socialized and socializing. And so even the college grads who didn't have that, I feel they're experiencing unrest as well, anxiety as well, confusion. What is my life about? I just got this degree and, everything is changing. Is this degree even going to be a thing anymore? All of these different things. And you have the elderly who are really at risk due to their health. So that creates the anxiety for them. And then they're in this stage of their life where they may be considering what they didn't get to do and all of these things. And so I feel like we're all in this boat together for very different reasons and for similar reasons as well.
So would you say that most of your clients or most people, period, would you say that we're suffering from cabin fever?
Well, some people are thriving. I feel like there's a lot of people, or a segment of people who are in their shell and they're creating and they're being able to, whether, like I said, it was gardening or they're researching things that I feel like when people are in their comfort zone, where there are people who don't get out the house, I've actually, and it's more common than you think, but I've actually been able to work with some people who just don't leave the house and that's their thing. So this is like, nothing to them. This is the same thing that they are experiencing, right? But that's their own battle, that they really don't get out the house. And then you have these people who are the majority of us. And this is a big change. We're used to being able to go socialize. We're used to being able to get out and move about, and also just not be in fear of our lives. Right. And so I think that is the majority of us who are experiencing the cabin fever. And we saw at the beginning, probably around March, April, we saw an uptick in domestic violence cases. When people are, in the home more than they usually are, having to be with each other, what does that situation look like now when we don't have as many distractions?
Right. So with schools making the decision to remain virtual for this semester at least, do you think that the mental well-being of the youth won't be as bad because we kind of experienced that last semester, or do you think it's just going to get worse?
Right. So it really depends on the family. And I feel like just because I work with individuals and I see individual stories. And so I see, people from each end of each perspective. So for me, I'm seeing a large group of my clients, and just FYI, a lot of my clients are in the lower socioeconomic status. And so I work with a lot of Medicaid clients and, clients who are experiencing poverty. And so that's really my demographic a lot of the times. And I am seeing things get progressively worse. I'm seeing, despite it being a new normal for a lot of people, it's still a big adjustment. And also when you don't have the finances and you are faced with whether it be systematic racism, the, poverty being a part of that, a branch off of that, right? You are seeing, people who have been through this they're consistently poor. But with COVID, it's creating a whole nother level of really issues that people haven't had to experience before. And one thing in particular is having parents who work and not have childcare. So you have 3 children under the age of 12. And in the state of Georgia, they can't be left home alone when you're a single mom and you still have to go to work. So now that's a DFACS case possibly that's, neighbors getting in your business. That's, a whole, basket that, just becomes, tipped over at that point. What I am seeing is that things are going to get worse with the kids not being in school if we don't have a solution to the oversight of the children during the day and parents still being able to work and have finances.
So with that being said, because I personally feel this way, so do you think that the effects of COVID mentally on the children is worse on the kids in the lower class than the more privileged kids?
Yes. Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying, and as we know, and we've been talking about throughout this time, the poor communities get hit the hardest.
Right.
The Black communities get hit the hardest. And so that's just what I've been experiencing. I work in Fulton County, and these are the people that I'm seeing every day. And so that's the perspective that I'm going to tell. But, I can't say for this other group of people who might, have childcare, who, has everything to make adjustments. Being able to make adjustments like that is privilege. And a lot of people don't have that privilege. So a lot of people aren't going to be able, to easily adjust to this.
Mm-hmm. Right. So with the youth, being so social media savvy, do you think that social media, the news, everything that people are posting on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, do you think that's contributing to people's mental health? Because I feel like every time I get on Twitter, it's, oh no, this person got corona, this person got corona.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, it's just the same way as seeing people who look like us die repeatedly on camera, right? Seeing that you're, scrolling to see friends and, check out maybe and just to chill. And that's the first thing you see in the morning. That's the first thing you see before you are, going to bed. That's what you see throughout the day. And so all of these things create anxiety. They create worry. And a lot of times anxiety is identified as something that is like not logical, an illogical type of thought process, and you're getting worked up over nothing. And that's certainly true, right? Mm-hmm. But still experience symptoms of anxiety, even with this logical and understandable and valid reason to worry, right? And when we see all of this stuff around us, and 2020 has just been a year in general, right? It's going to create the negative symptoms and anxiety. It can create impulsivity, which I see a lot with the kids not having a lot to do. I have kids running away. I have kids that, just trying to be free. And so, seeing all of this on your phones. I got 2 phones, right here. Like, it's just like too much. You're on your computer, you're on the TV, it's everywhere. So that is going to create pressure and worry and overwhelm.
So would you suggest some people may be taking social media breaks?
That is something that definitely helps. I've heard a lot of people say that it's helpful. I haven't necessarily tried it. For some clients I have a couple clients who are like, I just had to turn off my phone. I just had to, change my number. Just getting updates, even people texting you, right? Which is so invasive a lot of the times, but we want each other to be informed and we want each other to be aware. But, some people are checking out of social media and then it comes to their text messages, right? We're DMing articles, we're DMing videos. Oh my gosh, did you see this? And so those are just things to be aware of when we talk about social media, whether you take a break from it or not. Also, on the other end, are we, creating those little trigger warnings or creating, a level of boundaries around what information we put out as well.
Mm-hmm. So I heard you mention some symptoms of anxiety. What are some symptoms of anxiety? Because I feel like some people probably are going through it or having anxiety but don't know it. So what are
Mm-hmm.
some symptoms?
So some physical symptoms of anxiety are, excessive sweating. It can also be, your heart beating fast, palms sweating, feeling shaky, even one part of your body, like your leg, can kind of start quivering. And also the thoughts, having several different thoughts in your mind at one time. You can also see with anxiety, people, like I mentioned previously, being impulsive. And so that can look like, not fully thinking through things and just going out the way that everybody went out and bought tissue, right? That was very impulsive, in bulk for a house of three. All of these things that we have been seeing, we've been seeing people act impulsively. We've been seeing people act out of fear. And these are the things that we see when we talk about anxiety.
Hmm. So how do we cope with anxiety then? What's some ways to cope with it?
Yeah. So my first thing is breathing. My first thing is always going to be like mindfulness and being aware of yourself, because it's okay. Those feelings, and it's a chemical reaction in our body that's made to protect us. And so that thing is okay. We just have to learn how to control it. We have to learn how to control our thoughts as well. A lot of times, if we rationalize with ourselves and take a beat, take a moment and kind of think about, okay, is this logical? Am I, being excessive? Am I being unrealistic about something? What are some protective things that I can put in place so that what I'm worrying about doesn't happen? And just kind of slow down. Because like I said, that impulsivity, that quick, all of these thoughts going on in your mind all at once can really make you like jet all over the place. And so really breathe. And if we really take some time to slow down, whatever that looks like, and this has been a big slowdown. But also, another thing that you can work on is talking about your feelings and communicating your needs. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't do with anxiety, because we worry. And I say we because I have an anxiety myself. And so I always try to communicate what exactly it is that I need in the moment to the people around me and the people that care about me. And I always just kind of create boundaries around the things that I know trigger me. So you definitely want to know what your triggers are if you have anxiety or you're experiencing any of those symptoms, so that you can put some boundaries around yourself and that thing, create some distance between what triggers you.
Mhm. So I've noticed recently personally, a lot of my friends during this time, they have started keeping a journal or journaling because they
Mhm.
say that's a great way to release their feelings. So do you think that journaling could help us during this time?
Absolutely. I think it can be helpful. I think it's a tool that a lot of people use and some people just aren't hip to. I started, especially for youth, I started out writing. That was my biggest coping skill when I was young. So I'm
Mhm.
always going to advocate for writing, and I'm always going to advocate for actually putting your thoughts, feelings, and your goals down on paper, because that's really how we manifest the things that we want. Writing it down is a big part of working through something. So I always talk about journaling with my clients. I always talk about expressing your feelings, even if it's a creative way. If you're creative, whether that's making videos or any type of outlet that is cathartic in the way that writing is, I think would be really helpful for people to use during this time and any time that's tough for them.
Mhm. Okay, so what about people, because when we first went on quarantine, school got canceled.
Hmm.
And like I mentioned before, I'm a mass media student, so that means I'm a creative, and a lot of my friends and peers, classmates, they're also creatives. So
Hmm.
thing that my professor had told us. He was like, well, since y'all are in the house, you know, this is a great time for y'all to really perfect your craft and to create content, which is
Yes.
true. But what I personally struggled with is sometimes like I feel like I'm a little too hard on myself because
Hmm.
when I feel like I should be creating these YouTube videos and writing these blogs, but because of what's going on, like I really don't feel like doing that. And then when I see someone else post a new YouTube video, then I feel guilty because just like, what am I doing? Like I'm being lazy. I need to get up, but when really I'm just really not in a good mood. So, what's some advice for, I guess, people like me who are feeling really stagnant and just
Right.
not as productive as they would like to be?
Well, thank you for sharing that. I feel like I was in that place from like March up into like mid May. And then I had to have somebody kind of push me because I was being lazy. And so it was around, I think it was both. I won't say I was totally being lazy, but it
Mm-hmm.
was, for me, I had to be aware of really what it was. And for you or anybody else who's experiencing that, I feel like we just need to kind of give ourselves some time, be gracious with ourselves and to ourselves, and spend that time, take that time that you need. And then if you feel like it's getting to be too long, if you feel spurts of energy, you just want to do something, just to write 30 minutes, you never put it out, just to make a video, you
Mm-hmm.
never put it out, that's still productivity. Also, spending time with yourself is still productivity. So it's about being aware of, what is this really? Is this me being lazy? Is it a little bit of both? Is this, I needed a break? Because I also felt like that at the beginning, around March as well. Like I was like, oh, I needed this break.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like, okay, now it's time to get on to something. But you just have to be aware and realistic. Keep it real with yourself and say, what is this? And if you need that time, give yourself that time.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so how, I guess, following that, what are some ways that could help us stay motivated, especially going into the school year? Because a lot of people, some people may be happy about the virtual, online learning, but I know
Hmm.
there's a lot of people that are not happy about having to do another semester online because
Right.
there are some people who just really, last semester when we had to go back online, they did not feel motivated. They did not want to turn in no work, barely wanted to come to the Zoom calls. So, what are some ways that we could stay motivated and focused during this upcoming semester?
Yeah, that's a big question. And I think that the biggest thing is that what I've been hearing a lot is like every day feels the same. For me, it's different because I do set appointments with people, so I'm like I have to be aware when it's Wednesday.
Right.
But I understand that as well. It's kind of like summer break when you're a kid, you don't know what date it is. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so it feels like a one long day a lot. And so I think that keeping a morning routine is really important, since we've been able to sleep, longer, or kind of roll out of our bed and then just hop on Zoom. We are not creating like that time with ourselves in the morning, that time to get adjusted, to deal with people. Definitely, my biggest thing is going to be, a morning routine. And I also feel like creating little goals for yourself is going to be helpful, because when you're in school, for me it was okay, I know I have spring break coming up, I know I have Christmas break coming up. There was different things and what I would do, or we're gonna have a long weekend here and I'll be able to
Right.
do this. And so since we don't have that type of timeline or events like we used to, creating your own something to look forward to and work hard for, or just even, I know I'm going to work hard because I know I'm going to have that long weekend, or I know I'm going to take that time off, or I know that, we're going to get to do this weekend. Creating something to look forward, whatever that looks like for you in your space. I haven't been leaving the house much, so I've definitely still been trying to create things around the house, whether it be decorate or whether it be whatever gardening. I've just gotten into like so many different little projects, and so creating those little things where I can say, okay, I'm gonna get up this morning because I know this evening I want to garden before the sun goes down, so I need to hurry up and get this work done. Those type of little things. So morning routines and creating things to look forward to.
Great. And also, do you have any tips for how to not feel like Corona is taking away our youth?
So definitely still get outside, get some sun. Okay, so that's gonna be the thing that I feel I'm going to start working with my clients on a little bit more, because a lot of my clients are like playing games in the house. They're sleeping a lot. And we mentioned that can really trigger that dormant, low vibrating energy of sleeping, can really create like, I'm always sleepy. I'm always like in the dark. You know what I mean? And so it can really make you feel depressed. And so I really think that we still need to get out, ride bikes, whatever that is. Go take pictures if you're artsy, whatever it is, but get out the house and get vitamin D.
Gotcha. Okay. And do you have any resources for the youth who may be struggling during this time with the mental health?
Yeah, so mostly so I'll give 3 different ones, and they're going to be lists that will take you to so many more. Okay. So if you go to mindful.org, these are different tips. These are for everybody, every age, right? The teens, young adults, and just the adults as well. Mindful.org. And they also, they have a whole teen section as well. So you can just go to mindful.org and look at all of their resources. Also, the Boys and Girls Club website has a full list for the youth, for the teens especially, that they have resources, online trainings, different little things that they can do to stay motivated and stay interested in learning. And then also we have the stressedteens.com. And if you go to that website, there's resources for different therapists that might be listening or watching. And then there's resources for the parents, resources for the teens, in games, courses, and all of that. So I'm not in association with any of these people or entities, but I just found them online because I wanted to be able to provide some resources. You can also, always follow me at Spreeisms on YouTube and on Instagram. Just make sure you hit my Instagram up as well, because I'm always pushing out resources and everything like that as well.
All right. About to wrap up our first episode. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. This was fun.
Yes, it was fun. I learned some things. Hope everyone that's watching learned some things. And you said follow you on Instagram at Spreeisms, correct?
Yes, Spreeisms.
And you say you have a YouTube channel as well?
Yeah, so that's all of my old videos if you want to get caught up on all the videos that I have around managing anxiety, depression, and I even share a video about how I manage my anxiety. So that's on my YouTube as well. Same thing, Spreeisms, Spreeisms.
Okay. Well, once again, thank you so much for sitting here and chatting with us about the mental health during this coronavirus, because I feel like every time we look at the news, everyone is talking about the physical effects of the coronavirus, but nobody really talks about the mental impact that it has.
Right, which is just as important.
Just as important, because you can't be well if you're not well up here.
Exactly. Exactly. This was awesome. I'm going to be watching, be tuned in. And I think I already followed y'all on Instagram. So we'll be connected. And I'll, continue to send you guys resources. I'll hit y'all in the DM so you guys can, just stay connected and stay in tune with all of the resources. There's so many resources out there. So I want to make sure I continue to share that with you all.
All right, and make sure you all follow our page on Instagram at Youth on the Move. It's down there, youth_on_the_move_radio. As well, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Youth on the Move Radio. And we'll catch y'all next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.